Hey guys, it's Reagan, and today I'm going to be talking about the Rise of Skywalker in Vanity Fair. Oh my god, guys, I've been waiting for this for a long time. I was so excited. I knew it probably wasn't going to come May 4th, but I was hoping it would come like today or tomorrow, you know. And I was just so excited. I even posted on Tumblr. If you don't follow me on Tumblr, you should. That's where I'm the most fandom-y. And I was like all about it, and then I posted it, and I was like, I'm going to bed tonight knowing that I need to wake up at 7 a.m. and the Reylo Vanity Fair covers will be out. Oh my god, guys. Look at the covers. I love them. Okay, so first of all, was I a little disappointed that Rey and Kylo Ren weren't on one color cover together? Yes, but the covers literally fit together, and they are kind of like mirror image of each other, which is really cool. And obviously the only covers are Rey and Kylo Ren because they're the focal point of this movie. Like, you guys might be watching this movie and be like, The Last Jedi, Rey and Kylo Ren were pretty like together, and that was like maybe the main plot line throughout that movie. I'm like, yeah, but like I feel like it's gonna be even more so in the Rise of Skywalker, which is gonna be really interesting. I'm really excited to see that. But basically, and then they also said that there's kind of like a little hidden thing with the Vanity Fair cover. So basically, in Rey's side of it, it is the sunrise, and then in Kylo's side, it is the sunset, which I find interesting, of course, because I'm a Beauty and the Beast fan. I'm like, certain as the sun rising in the east. You know, like that's the first thing that came into mind because I love Beauty and the Beast. But the sunset and the sunrise also kind of symbolize like the darkness. Like, this is what I said, some of my Tumblr anonymous messaging, someone talked about this and they were like, oh, and I was saying like, there's still a little bit of darkness in it, and they were like, the darkness rises and the light to meet it. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I get, like, basically, because, like, even though it's sunrise or sunset, there's always going to be that touch of darkness going on. So I think that's cool. Also, we got a really cool shot of them fighting in, like, water, and, like, it was really interesting to me. It was cool. My mom was like, she saw it, she's like, oh, well, that's your clue. They're gray in the middle. They're going to be part of the gray. There's not going to be Jedi or Sith anymore, which is, of course, kind of what I want. I've always been kind of interested in more of the gray. I don't really, like, my thing is that, I don't know, I don't really, the Sith and Jedi ideologies, there's always flaws in them, so if you can kind of make it gray, make their own kind of thing, that would be fascinating, and also better for balance, you know? So that was just exciting for me. And also, it doesn't really look like they're fighting in that. Obviously, they're like far away from each other. They're not really like striking it. Kylo looks like he's just looking at Rey. People have been saying that they could be deflecting it and fighting together, and that Rey could be deflecting blasters or something, and that Kylo could be like looking at her, making sure she's okay, or it could be part of the Force Spawn scene, and Kylo is like in the forest fighting with things. I'll talk about that in a second. He's fighting, and then he just goes on Force Bond, and then they kind of see each other. Some other things that they did in this Vanity Fair piece, so they confirmed that Carrie Russell is Zori Bliss, which we already kind of known. Like, I've known this, like, we've known this since, like, the beginning. Carrie Russell's always said her costume's been cool. She's probably, like, a bounty hunter or something, but she's on a snow planet. A snow planet called, like, Kimchi. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Pardon me. I don't know. So we got that. We also have Richard E. Grant confirmed to be Legion General Pride, which is kind of interesting. He was in that picture with Hux, which is funny. I'm glad that Kylo wasn't in that picture. Like, notice like all the stuff and whatever that we've gotten so far. It's not necessarily Kylo with the First Order. Like, of course he's been in his TIE silencer, but it's not necessarily him with the First Order, which I find very interesting. So there's that. There's also JJ with the Knights of Ren, which is really cool. They said that basically in this we're gonna have more exploration of the Force Awakens, we're gonna have more exploration of the origins of the First Order, which ties into Bloodline by Claudia Gray. If you haven't read that book, you probably should, because that really discusses the beginning of the First Order in the Outer Rim. So that's kind of interesting. So I would recommend that read. It's really good. So I'm kind of interested to see what they do with that. And then people are saying that maybe the Knights of Ren, Kylo didn't form the Knights of Ren. The Knights of Ren kind of helped influence him to go to Snoke, which would be interesting. I don't know. But the Knights of Ren are in it. And then also Vanity Fair said that they did confirm that Kylo Ren is fighting the Knights of Ren in that forest scene that we see in the teaser. So that is heck of fascinating. I know I talked about this before, and it's kind of nice to just get some confirmation on it, you know. So that's just fascinating to me. I enjoy that aspect of it. Now, I talked about how the Knights of Ren could have been led astray by Palpatine, and maybe Palpatine kind of is him in charge of them, and that's why they were gone. investigating Palpatine or something. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens in this film. But I just think it's nice that, like, Kylo's not really with the First Order. Whatever. That just gives me hope. We also see Finn and Janna on Orbox, which is fun. And then we see Poe, Lando, and Chewie, and the Falcon. That's fun. It's kind of nice. Those are cool pictures. I like them. JJ also said that we know, this has been said a lot of times, that he's using old footage to repurpose it so that Carrie Fisher can have a meaningful part in the last film of the saga. And they said he even has scenes with Billy Lord in it, so it'd be so nice to see Carrie Fisher and Billy Lord on screen together again, which is just kind of heartbreaking and also just touching. So that's kind of cool that he just mentioned that. But of course, we've already known that for a long time, but it's just nice to see that Carrie Fisher will have scenes with her daughter. Alright, now we're gonna get into more. Okay, so basically, guys, Vanity Fair got us. Like, they were like, first of all, like, the last couple days, like, Vanity Fair has been liking a bunch of Reylo tweets, and we've been like, what? Like, Star Wars Stan Twitter is my favorite. It's so funny. Also, I just love it. But anyway, so they've been liking a bunch of Reylo tweets, and we're like, okay. And then we see the senior writer, like, talk about how before she was like, she's like, I don't understand, like, I am trying so hard not to be into Reylo, but, like, I can't help it, I love Reylo. Like, previous tweets of the past, and we've been like, okay. We're like, alright. Like, and then she's like, we tried so hard for all you Reylos to get them questions out of it. So, I just want to say, personally, I want to say thank you to Adam Driver, because he really gave us some good quotes. I feel like Adam Driver, like, it's so funny to hear him, like, because he's been nominated most recently for a Tony, and it's so funny because people will continue to ask him questions about Star Wars, and he always talks about things like buildings and stuff, but, like, this time he actually, like, gave some stuff away, which was fascinating to me. I mean, he was like, oh, it's a Star Wars cover thing. I mean, what are they gonna do to him? Like, he's been nominated for a Golden Globe, a Tony, Oscar, like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, the movie's already been filmed. My personal favorite quote is, I want to read this verbatim. And then he had been forging this maybe bond with Rey, Driver says. And it kind of ends with a question in the air. Is he going to pursue that relationship? Or when the door of her ship goes up, does that also close that camaraderie that they were maybe forming? So, that was kind of interesting. I thought maybe bond. It's kind of funny and like pursue that relationship. That's kind of funny. I think it's so funny. They kept asking Daisy and Adam about it. And they were both like, well, obviously, like, growing up, Ben Solo kind of had it rough. His parents are both, like, legendary. And it's kind of, he didn't, like, as Adam Driver says, like, he didn't get his, self-discovery little journey like Rey and Luke did. Like, he didn't get that. Like, he was that kid, like, you know? And, like, you already could tell, like, he was kind of, like, he's not the same as Han, where he's, like, super, like, extroverted and stuff like that. You can kind of tell that he's kind of, like, an introvert and stuff, and, like, more hidden with his emotions. So, you know, so, like, he had it kind of rough, and, like, his parents were really focused on their careers, as we've seen in Bloodline in The Last Shot. I mean, I've talked about this extensively. Like, canon is trying to make you feel like Ben Solo had it rough, you know? And so so for Rey, she's kind of like, you let it all go. Like, you had everything, but you just let it all go. And so that's kind of her conflict with it. And, like, Daisy said that Rey kind of feels more persuaded that he will be redeemed at the end of The Last Jedi. Now, here's the deal with that, right? So, like, my thing was, I was like, okay, well, that kind of sucks. But then I realized, I'm like, yeah, because, like, it's not good, like, for a relationship-wise. Obviously, he needs to get his stuff together on his own, and then he can come back to Rey and be like, look, I changed this, and this. And then she'd be like, okay, alright, so I'll work with you a little bit more. But I just think it's interesting. But also, like, in the Vanity Fair, they're like, it's either they figure it out, or, like, Rey has to put him down. I'm like, what the hell? Put him down? What is he, a 15-year-old dog that is on its last leg? That's weird, okay? Whatever, though. But it's, it was kind of fascinating. And then also, once again, thank you, Adam Driver. Also, Adam said that when he asked, like, is it more of, like, a friendship that Rey and Kylo Ren are forming, or does it, like, have a romantic tone? And he said with JJ and Ryan, it was always more than just, like, one thing, which is good for us, because, as it's Reylos, because honestly, like, the thing about it is, like, the best relationships, and the most intimate ones, or whatever, that's your best friend, and also your, like, lover, so, like, that's pretty good. That's I'm excited, okay? So that's pretty interesting. And we've seen it before. The force bond between them makes them more connected intimately than anything else. Jason Fry's concept, it's like deeper than romantic or platonic love. It's deeper than that because they're connected through the force. Thank you, Cosmic Force, for that. Not Snoke. I hate Snoke, but whatever. Even though he claims he did that, I still wanted to say that the Cosmic Force did that. Also, it said in Vanity Fair that a source close to the movie said that the force bond will turn out deeper than we thought. Okay, thank you, JJ. You know, and JJ talked about that too, I think, where he said, like, he wanted to go deeper with that force connection, which I think is interesting and also just helps move along the plot. You know what I mean? It's because, like, as Daisy and Adam kind of said, like, in previous, and I think maybe in this, is that Rey and Kylo are uniquely suited to understand each other. They got that force bond. They're kind of been inside each other's heads. They're the only ones that can really understand each other through that way. I think it was funny when asked about, like, the trio dynamics, which are Poe, Finn, and Rey. Daisy was kind of like, well, Rey is kind of always kind of a little bit more an outsider because she does have that force that they don't have, which is kind of interesting. It's kind of like how Luke was with Han and Leia. Like, even though Leia has the force, but she never really used too much. But it's kind of like that a little bit. And also, to be fair, Poe, Rey, and Finn aren't really necessarily, I guess they're kind of like a newer version of Luke, Han, and Leia. But honestly, this is the first movie where they're all going to be together, like, you know. So, like, literally Rey just met Poe at the end of The Last Jedi. So, like, you know what I mean. So, it's not going to be, like, a super, like, besties for the resties kind of thing, I think. And that kind of leads it more to, like, focus on Rey and Kylo's relationship, which is what John Boyega said. He said that ultimately, like, that Finn will support Rey and whatever's building between her and Kylo, which is, like, what? So, what if that happened? So, like, obviously, like, I talked about this before. Like, if you gotta watch my other episode I prep videos where, like, I talked about how, like, it looks like they're coming to meet Kylo, and, like, Rey's kind of like, what? Like, Rey's kind of like, and Finn is, like, pissed, and Poe is, like, pissed. It's so funny. So, like, what did Kylo say? He'd be like, I killed Snoke for her, and they're like, okay, props to you, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he has to do some convincing to be like, yeah, I'm, like, low-key good enough for Rey, you know what I mean? You know, so it's kind of fascinating to be like, look, Palpatine's coming, you guys know, like, you guys can do your piloting or whatever, but you know who's the real deal. It's me and Rey. We're gonna take out Palpatine. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how that would happen, but anyway, so I thought it was funny that John Boyega said that Finn, like, supports Rey in her relationship with Kylo Ren, which is fascinating to me. And I know there's more, and I know, like, JJ referenced that it's kind of like a fairy tale and, like, Kylo's a prince, which is before we've heard in TFA, and that Adam Driver said that there's been things that since the beginning he's always known about Kylo Ren as a character, and obviously that is Bendemption. I'm telling you guys, like, Bendemption is definitely in the cards, because in order for Reylo to happen, like, canonly, because, like, we've already seen in The Last Jedi, if Reylo was going to happen with Rey with Kylo Ren, then it would have already happened. But because Rey rejected him, that makes the relationship a little bit better standing. So, when he actually gets redeemed and has been solo, that's when Reylo can happen. And that's why, part of the reason why Bendemption's going to happen, because those things work in tangent with each other. You see what I mean? So, the more evidence we get for Reylo is like the more evidence we get for Bendemption. So, I'm excited to see that. I think that this movie is going to be very entertaining. I'm very excited. I literally spent I think I spent a couple days or so I spent like 2 hours or something trying to figure out tickets so I can see it in Paris. I don't understand. I'm like a movie person in the US, but like, I don't understand. I need to figure out how to use it in Paris because I'm trying to see it. I have like my last final ends at 3 in Madrid, and Paris gets out on the 18th. So I low-key want to fly for Madrid real quick. Just take my backpack, fly from Madrid, see it in Paris at like that night, and then come back the next morning. Then fly out from Madrid and come home back to the US. and probably stopping in London on a transfer, and I'll probably end up seeing it again during whatever long layover that I probably have. So, I don't know what's going to happen. I might end up seeing it in 3 countries. I don't know, but, or maybe I won't, because that's a lot of planning. But I'm just saying, guys, it's kind of wild. I'm super excited for this movie. Vanity Fair just helps me out a lot. Look, after Game of Thrones, like, I'm a Daenerys Targaryen fan, so after watching Game of Thrones, I was having a rough time. I was like, you know, and I was like, are you really going to do that to these characters? And after watching Endgame, I was kind of like, if you watch my review, I was kind of like, So this coming up, this is like the best news of for a while, okay? And also, I'm back home. If you noticed, I came back from college. I got my random decorations back there. You like my Taylor Swift covers that I randomly put up because I barely started unpacking, so I gotta make my room more fancy and, like, better and, like, more interesting to look at. But whatever. So, I've been rambling for too much, so thank you guys for watching, and if you haven't already, please subscribe and like this video if you liked it, and I'll see you later. Goodbye!